300 laps at Bristol. We're underway.
9 is the pole sitter, so it's fine to go to the line first. He just chose the outside lane.
Daniel Hemric in the 18, right behind him early.
See, Hemric has gotten to the bottom. The race is to get to the bottom right now. Harrison Burton on the outside, hoping to clear Justin Allgaier to try to get on the inside. If not, they're going to freight train him.
A little loose there out of the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Harrison Burton in the 20 on his outside. That's Ty Gibbs in the 54 sideways off the turn.
And right there, spotter, clear, clear, clear. As soon as he saw that bottom open up, that's the spotter yelling, get to the bottom.
That bottom groove is dark. PJ1 substance, traction compound, pretty wide. If you do miss it, it'll be a little bit slower of a lap time. Obviously, it'll move the car up the racetrack. You'll fight to try to get back to the bottom. It gives guys behind you an opportunity to take advantage of that. Right here, battle for the lead.
Gragson a little loose now. The 18 of Hemric diving to the inside. He'll try to take the lead away and does.
And you can see the dominance of the bottom line right there.
Early in this race, as soon as they drop the green flag, look at this battle right here. Allgaier sideways trying to keep position.
Well, I was going to say, now the 20 is up off the bottom again. The 54 got underneath him, completed the pass. Now the 11 of Haley is there. Jeb Burton's going to try to stay as close to this 11 as he can to fill this gap.
This is one of those racetracks, Steve, that I think changes as much as any racetrack we go to. I always wanted to be too loose taking off of this race. If I took off too tight, I could never be free enough late in the race. Be interesting to see who takes off well and who doesn't, and who's good at the end of the race.
Cousins side by side right now. Jeb Burton in the 10, Harrison Burton in the 20.
Jeffrey Earnhardt comes to pit road for an unscheduled pit stop with a flat left front tire after contact. Jade Buford, let's see how this happens. You get up off the bottom, get a little bit loose. Look at there, he's loose before they ever get to the corner. Back of that 48 car, Jade Buford sliding around, big contact right there. Caution is out on the racetrack. Got a car with a lot of damage.
Sparks from the 02 of Brett Moffatt, and this is not the welcome back Brett Moffatt wanted after being away from the car for 2 weeks.
Looks like he's had contact with the outside retaining wall. Bad damage to the right front suspension on this 02 car. He brings it to pit road.
So the first caution comes out, and only 10 laps in to this race here for the Xfinity Series. We'll be back for the restart. Your live race day companion is NASCAR Drive. You can select from up to 8 different cameras, or you can watch 4 at one time. With the multi-camera view, visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app tonight.
You see Brett Moffatt on pit road. A lot of people want to be race car drivers till this happens. Watch Brett Moffatt. It just does not turn at all. Nothing he could do. The car just went straight. That's a big impact right there. Watch this car. Just quits turning. Don't know if the tire was down, if a suspension problem. Absolutely nothing he could do. Night's over.
The winner in the Truck Series here at Bristol Motor Speedway, the champion. And Brett Moffatt hasn't raced the last 2 races because of medical issues. So he was back, but obviously not the ending that he wanted. Marty.
Rick Daniel Hemric had taken the lead after 4 laps, led by Noah Gragson. And then when he took the lead, a little pep talk from his crew chief, Dave Rogers. Listen to the radio.
Control this race all night long. We're not giving up control.
I love it, Steve. The commanding voice from Dave Rogers. Control this race all night long. We are not letting go of control of this race. Hemric looking for his first ever NASCAR win. What an appropriate place maybe at a short track here at Bristol.
Yeah, and so, you know, when you've come as close as Hemric has to winning, you have to find a different way. I don't want to say to motivate, but sometimes it's encouraged, it's different things. Dave Rogers, tremendous amount of success both in the Xfinity and the Cup Series, and I kind of like the exclamation point he made on that statement, right? He wasn't suggesting it. He was emphatically stating, this is what we're going to do. We're going to control this race and force someone else to do something to take it away from us. Don't give up the spot, be aggressive.
Dave, what's happening right now with the battle for the regular season championship?
Yeah, Rick, we talked about it in the pre-race show. Austin Cindric going forward, AJ Allmendinger going backwards. Both cars are on the tight side, difficult to turn in the corners. AJ not too concerned about it, but he did lose 6 spots to start. Got one of them back, and Austin has gone forward by 2.
Man, Jeff, you said you didn't want to start. You want to start too free. Both of these cars too tight. You see Cindric 1 point currently behind Allmendinger.
Again, that's 1 position on the racetrack. If Austin is able to gain a spot, they're tied. If the 16 of AJ loses a spot, they're tied. Look at the regular season as far as when you're the champion, these are the playoff points. So if you finish first, if you win the championship, you get 15 playoff points. Now you get 5 playoff points if you win a race. So that's like winning 3 races. And it's a race difference between the top 2. So second only gets 10 points, 8 points for third on down all the way through 10th. So those playoff points will determine how much you're able to move through the playoffs when they start in Las Vegas next week.
You see it continues to taper. There's a lot of battles with inside this top 10 when it comes to points.
Interesting right here. You saw they can pick which lane they want to restart in. Ty Gibbs was sitting there running 4th. He picked the outside. It lines him up in 6th position on the outside. It'd be interesting to see how that works out for him.
Well, we have mentioned the preferred line at the bottom of the racetrack, but Daniel Hemric, the race leader, chose the outside. So we'll see how this works out for him. Noah Gragson on the inside. Back to racing. Huge launch there for Daniel Hemric. He jumps up into the lead, and the 7 of Allgaier follows right behind and takes second away from Gragson.
So that outside line's 2 for 2 for both the first line, the first row, and the second row as well. The guy lining up in 4th place. Right along with Jeb Burton and the Nutrient Ag Solutions camera. Watch the hands on the wheel.
Real smooth right there. The car obviously is driving really well. Not a lot of hand movement. Talked about Ty Gibbs picking that outside lane. Right now, he's stuck up there. It's not working for him. See if he can roll in behind this 20.
Jeremy Clements in the 51. Just behind these 2. Clements fighting for a playoff point in a playoff position.
Well, Ty Gibbs, he'll put that in the memory bank. And okay, how many spots do I want to give up to start on the outside? What is the gain? What's the loss? Don't know until you try it, and it's going to change, Junior.
Yeah, it just appears right now there's just so much grip in this compound on the bottom of the racetrack. Again, the outside row fires off into turn 1, but then the inside's where you want to be immediately.
And once again, we see the Burton side by side. Harrison on the inside this time, Jeb Burton on the outside. Going up the racetrack, here comes Ty Gibbs.
Jeb spotter's telling him there's a hole behind this 54. If Jeb wants to let him have it, get back in line here and settle in right there in front of Jones.
Not out of the gas very long as we were riding along with Jeb earlier and listening to this.
54 big loose, entering the corner. Marty, what you got on this 54 car?
Well, you guys talk about him taking the outside and talking to Chris Gale this afternoon. He said, I want Ty to do those things tonight. I want him to learn. I want him to understand what it means to have a fast car here at Bristol, make some mistakes, and how you recover from them. Remember, he is not in the season-long championship standings. They are in the owner's point standings, so there's a little bit to fight for the 54. But Ty Gibbs with a fast car and a lot to learn here at Bristol tonight.
Yeah, Marty, Ty won the ARCA race here last night. You know, with no practice, really good idea. If you can get the funding, if you can make that happen and be able to run those ARCA races, great experience.
One thing I'm watching here is this 54 is how patient he is around the bottom of the racetrack. Watch his left front tire right there on that yellow line. He gets up the racetrack just a little bit there, but he's really, I think the laps that he got last night is an advantage right now for a lot of these guys because he knows how to get this car around the track where there's a little bit of extra grip, I'm sure, right on that yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack where that traction compound is stacked up. Dave, what you got on the 98?
Fighting for a playoff spot is Riley Herbst, and coming back after an early freight training on the outside line. Got hung up out there, lost several positions, I believe down to 16th. Now fighting his way back, he's back up to 12th. He started 8th, guys.
So that yellow line around the bottom of the racetrack, they added that for this race weekend. It's kind of an optical thing where you can see the bottom of the racetrack, the difference between the apron and the concrete surface. But also, I believe that the traction compound may stick to that yellow line and provide the drivers that can be patient to keep the left front there a little extra grip in the front of the race car. We'll have to see how it goes through this race.
So, Junior, I'd say that line's, what, about 5 inches?
Yeah, it is.
You're telling me that those guys are going to hit 5 inches with their tires every single lap?
Well, there used to be a yellow line around this racetrack years ago, and the rubber would build up on top of it, and you'd gain a little bit of grip if you put the left front right on top of it. You can be very precise. And then we'll see if that traction compound, as it wears away, maybe it doesn't wear away from the painted location on the racetrack where that line is, and the drivers may be able to utilize it.
We knew this was going to be an issue. We've got lap traffic already coming into play as Daniel Hemric is trying to put a couple cars a lap down, including Jesse Little in that 78.
Jesse made it real tight, entering the corner. Hemric had to be very careful, but the 7 got loose on the bottom of the racetrack, gave up a little time there, but these guys now are side by side.
Well, and then on the bottom of the screen, I was watching Harrison Burton really struggling with a loose race car. Look at this traffic right here.
Now, do you dare jump to the top of the racetrack?
This right here is a ton of patience. You saw right there, Justin Allgaier didn't put a lot of pressure right there. Knew there was nowhere to go. Gave Hemric some room. Only 34 laps in this race. That's smart racing.
The competition caution coming up, Steve, in about 6 laps?
Yeah, around lap 40 is where NASCAR said the competition yellow would come out, which is, I think, making some of these lap cars harder to pass. You look at Jay Buford just in front of Hemric. Well, he knows that competition yellow is coming as well, so he's going to battle, try to stay in front of this 18 for those last 4.
Oh, look at this move. Allgaier. Oh, Hemric's going to shut the door.
Hemric might be moving Jade out of the way here as Jade Buford trying to stay on the lead lap, but look at this, the 7 of Allgaier.
Contact.
He puts the bumper to him, and up the racetrack goes Hemric. Allgaier's going to take the lead.
Allgaier
right
was
here.
there. Allgaier was there. He had the spot. Hemric trying to pinch him off, and Justin just said, nope, not going to let you do it.
It's going to allow Haley to slide through as well. Now, can Haley zero in the back bumper of the 7 car? Now the 7 of Allgaier has to try to pass Jade. And Jade has every right to race him as hard as he wants to try to stay on this lead lap.
Jade's doing a nice job. Up the racetrack a little bit right there.
Jade Buford in the 2 off weeks from during the Olympics. He was on American Ninja Warrior. Very athletic young man. As we see, Allgaier gets past him. Here comes Haley now. He is past him. Hemric will try to get by now as well.
Jade also ran their ARCA race yesterday.
As inconsistent and unpredictable as the traction compound is, having laps on it in another series even has to be helpful to understand how it activates, how quickly the grip is there, how it affects the balance of the cars when you put just 2 tires on it or 4 tires on it. 3 tires on it.
Allgaier out front has a 2.5 car length lead over Haley now, as we're anticipating that competition caution, which just comes out. And so Allgaier, who has led so many laps at this racetrack and over the last 4 races hasn't found victory lane, hoping that this momentum getting him to the front will help him out tonight.
See contact right there. Allgaier pushing the issue, gets underneath him. Just took that spot.
Haley tries to fill that hole as quickly as possible to not allow the 18 to get back down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's able to do it down here 1 and 2 and make that pass as well. And he looked a little bit quicker than the 7. The 7 is now leading this race, but just looks a little loose and unpredictable on the bottom groove.
I'm okay with that. I've seen so many of these Xfinity Series races won here with cars that look so loose to start the race, and then by the time the end of the race, that's the ones to beat.
You have to imagine that this track's going to build rubber, that traction compound's going to get tighter, the groove's going to get tighter, and teams will have a hard time trying to keep up with that balance change in the surface of the track.
Only 2 drivers in the field have been to victory lane here in the Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier and Noah Gragson. So Allgaier trying to do it again as he's out front. Doesn't look like pit road is very popular right now, so we'll take a quick break. Be back for the restart here at Bristol. For just $4.99 for the playoffs, you can go inside the headset with access to NASCAR Scanner. Listen in on the pit strategy, spotter communication, crew chief calls. All you have to do is visit NASCAR.com/scanner. You can start your subscription tonight. All right, Junior, we've seen Allgaier right on the back bumper of the pace car trying to get rid of that debris.
Yeah, there's a little debris that's caught on the grill, and Letard, I believe it's over the brake ducts on the left side, and that's a concern. And it's not something that seems to be able to, he can't get off the car. They'll have to try to get it off on pit road, but could have some brake temp. You wouldn't think they'd use a lot of brakes here, but the drivers do use a lot of brakes to be able to get the car slowed down to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. If you're on the high side, you definitely don't use as much brakes, but I think running that bottom, they're definitely going to use more brakes than normal.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a cooling issue as far as a brake failure, but if the brakes get extra hot, it could melt a bead of the left front tire or just make it handle worse. That left front tire kind of blows up like a balloon if you get it too hot, and that is definitely going to make the car tight. Dave?
Steve, with no one pitting here, the adjustment may need to be made behind the wheel. Listen to A.J. Allmendinger.
It's real sensitive because like one lap I hit it right, the car feels really good. The next lap, miss it by like an inch, and it's not great,
Sounds about right for Bristol up there. A little bit off, and you change your whole lap.
And I think that bottom lane and how it's been treated makes that even more sensitive. Oh no,
that's a problem.
Maybe that is a big problem.
So it's gotten drug around the racetrack, and there's a hole obviously in the bottom of it. Now it's allowing air to come out of the filler neck because It's unsealed.
And it came off with a 90 of Spencer Boyd.
You see, he's shaking.
Yeah, he had to work it to get it off.
Yeah.
Equipment removed from the box, Steve. I think this is a penalty.
And it's for sure removed.
And that's going to be an issue.
They may be built fuel cans differently going forward so they don't drag a hole in the bottom and leak out the top.
So a little bit of fluid on the racetrack there. They'll clean that up. We'll be right back for the restart.
Bristol Motor Speedway as cleanup continues after a fuel can was drug onto the racetrack and leaked. And you want to talk about slippery when liquid gets on the racetrack? It's not just for cars. Our poor man right here with the safety crews coming to attention, and down he goes. You knew that hurt. That had to hurt, Rick.
Yeah, my first reaction would be to look around. Did anybody see me fall down?
Well, if they didn't the first time, they have now.
And we had a lot of ideas on how to clean that up. Aside from dumping all that speedy dry down, some of the drivers thought they should set it on fire.
Which gets a lot of cool factor, for sure.
Hart said it should just evaporate.
Just go away. Just let it be for a minute.
Rutledge.
Rick, I'm up here in the spotter stand, and it's amazing to get a view like this. We know there's a ton of spotters that the fans are familiar with. Names like TJ Majors, Tab Boyd, Brett Griffin. But when you take a look around, you also realize it's an amazing who's who of former and current racers. Guys like Brandon McReynolds, Larry Son, Rick Corelli, Tony Raines, Reed Sorensen, Tim Fedewa, Coleman Presley, Stephen Lights up here. They are really the unsung heroes of the sport, the eyes in the sky. But guys, what I'm wondering for you, especially Dale, is it important to have a spotter that has raced before?
You know, I think that it helps. You know, there you see Reed Sorensen and all those guys up there. Reed spotting for Josh Williams now in the Xfinity Series. And you, as a driver, you kind of trust hearing from another driver. And you think that he knows what you want to hear. And, you know, that doesn't mean that a guy that's not have driving experience can't be a great spotter. But it does kind of help, I think, build a little trust between the two.
In the spotter department, you had TJ come back and help you at Richmond. Was that more comfortable for you because of a soothing voice, I guess?
I just like to yell at him.
And by the way, he responded to that.
Yeah, he did. So we have a lot of fun when I get to run with him, and he's one of the best ones out there, and we've worked together for so long. We'd like to keep that together if you can. Sometimes change is good, though. Some of these guys make changes trying to change up the atmosphere on the radio.
Getting ready for the restart. Again, 35, it'll be 34 laps to go in stage one. Allgaier, great launch. Hemric follows right behind. Noah Gragson trying to clear Haley. Gragson in the 9, Haley in the 11.
And that 18 with great short run speed right on the rear bumper of this 7.
How about that? Is that Sam Merrill on the outside?
He's got that top working up there.
I mean, he has picked up 7 or 8 spots working on the top.
The first car we've seen jump up there and really Oh, the 22 loose underneath Sam's going to be able to give Sam the bottom groove if he wants it.
And the 19 working to the inside of him.
Sam back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Ahead of him, though, Noah Gragson using the high side to prevail into third place, and he's going to stay committed to it here. Dylan, what do you got on the 8 car?
Yeah, having a good run so far, Junior. As crew chief Taylor Moyer talked about the fact that they're starting mid-pack, and if they were able to fire off good and pass a few guys, that's going to be good for Sam's confidence. Well, he's certainly done that. Started 22nd. He's up to 6th. So they had this one circled on the schedule for sure. Felt like this was a track that really fell into Sam's wheelhouse. Had it circled because he does have a lot of laps here as well. Ran the truck race, ran the ARCA race last night. So feel like this is a really good opportunity for that youngster in the 8 car. Looking good here early.
That restart, guys, not only Sam Mayer, but a lot of drivers picked up a ton of spots on the outside. See Brandon Jones up to 7th, Allmendinger up to 6th. All that happened on the outside.
Noah's beat this 11 car a couple times on this outside, but not chose to get back to the bottom. He's trying to commit to it to see if he can make that work. And if he does, you know everyone else is going to be taking note of that.
Well, Junior, you and I ran into Ty Gibbs down there on pit lane right after the pre-race show on our way up here to the booth. And we asked him what he thought about the bottom of the racetrack and the top, and he seemed pretty confident that he thought it would definitely move to the top of the racetrack. So, Jeff, differing opinions, but the young driver, the 54, he seemed to be pretty emphatic that eventually we'd get all the way to the top.
Yeah, I think it will too. I mean, you just go back and look at past races here. Just seems to get there eventually.
Ty Gibbs in the 54 now on the back bumper of Harrison Burton.
See right here, Jeb Burton, and right into the back of Ty Gibbs. Ty sideways in the middle of the corner.
And you guys' memory it stays pretty good for somebody who moves you out of the way, right?
Yeah, some longer than others. Some will remind you 20 years ago.
Ty Gibbs tucked in behind now Harrison Burton. Good fight here. A.J. Allmendinger on the inside trying to get by Sam Mayer.
Yeah, he's got Sam back up off the bottom of the racetrack. Sam struggling to drive away from these guys. He's passed them, but now having a hard time moving that 8 car forward.
Regular season championship again being determined between the 16 and the 22, and those two are nose to tail right now. That regular season points on the bottom of the lower left of your screen. Allmendinger now a 6-point advantage over Cindric. And again, at the end of each stage, points are awarded. So 10 points for the winner of each stage, all the way down to 1 point for finishing 10th. Dave.
Brandon Jones is going the right direction. He's up to 8th place from 16th position. That is the camouflage covered number 19. And he has a new spotter this weekend. Stevie Reeves did not do a poor job at all. He was a friend of the company and did a great job as a veteran. All 4 wins with him. But they needed a spark, according to the driver. And they've hired Drew Herring, another former driver, who spots for Martin Truex Jr. on the Cup races. Herring is up top where Rutledge was earlier, spotting for Jones for the first time and trying to get him to the playoffs. And then as far as he can in the playoffs.
Anything you can do to improve your chances of getting into the playoffs. We're going NASCAR nonstop. You won't miss a thing. Sunday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs visit Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. That coverage starts at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock. You're watching NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Bristol. The Food City 300. Smoke coming out.
Take it easy right here. We got a little bit of smoke.
Smoke coming out from behind the one, and Josh Berry behind the wheel, filling in for Michael Annette. More issues with his leg, so he was not able to get into the car tonight to start this one.
And the one doing a nice job all the way up to 14th, had to start last, but this seems like an issue for sure.
You can smell it that good. Go ahead and bring it to us.
And it looks like fluid on the right side tires to me, Steve. I don't see a lot of damage on that car, any tire rubs or anything like that. Maybe some kind of a mechanical issue.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to be pitting
It started smoking and it's just gotten worse.
They're going to black flag you.
Yeah, they black flagged him, so posting him. So Josh will come to pit road. Under green flag conditions, he comes on his side.
Yeah, so he's going to pull down right here and only pit on his respective side. Either way, though, you're going to lose laps so quickly here. 16-second laps.
What a shame he couldn't make it to the stage in. Only 6 laps to go. The tires obviously rubbed off, but all the letters rubbed off, and I don't think that's where the smoke was coming from.
You had mentioned it being shiny, like some fluid on there.
So you see, unfortunate for the one right here. They're looking, I believe it's probably up under the hood. That's usually what happens. So when you take a look at the points, right, you see all the drivers in yellow, 1 through 9. Brandon Jones, Clements, and Herbst. You see a net not in the race 13th. So there's really no battle for points here. The only way we're going to see a driver below the red line find his way to the playoffs is going to have to take a win. So for Ryan Sieg, or Brandon Brown, Josh Williams, they're going to have to go to victory lane to advance into the playoffs.
Hemric keeping it close here on this 7 of Allgaier down the back straightaway as they go in through traffic.
It's Matt Mills in the 99 that they're passing.
The traffic's going to present opportunities for Hemric if he can keep this lead to the minimum. Battle for 3rd and 4th right here with Gragson as they're trying to pass Jade Buford.
Brandon Gondovic in that 26 up in front right now of Justin Allgaier. That keeps Allgaier in the sights of Hemric for the lead. Again, Jade Buford's been difficult to pass, but both Gragson and Haley get by.
But right now, with the racetrack the way it is, there's really no top groove. You're going to have to get aggressive with a guy or catch him in a bad situation track-wise.
You see Allgaier winning stage 1 from Bristol. Hemric in 2nd, Gragson, Haley, Sam Mayer in the top 5, and then Allmendinger outdoing Austin Cindric in stage 1 by 1 position. That's 1 point. So the point lead stays for the regular season championship as Allgaier wins stage 1.
Be fine.
Stage 1, that was quick. And there was a break in the middle there, too, for the competition caution. The stage 1 is complete, and guys are up on the wall now, anticipating their teams to come down pit road. Again, now under caution, they will all enter on turn 2, go all the way around to their respective pit areas. We see the 7 and the 18 diving onto pit road. Dave?
Rick, you mentioned the regular season championship. Allmendinger over Cindric on that round. 1 point gain more by Allmendinger. Now they pit together. The pit crews go to work. Let's see if they exit in the same order. Allmendinger a little free in, tight in the center. Cindric, he told his car not good, gave more information to his crew to get it fixed, Marty.
Daniel Hemric among those cars pitting on the backstretch, said the car got such good short run speed, and then it gets a little too snug at the end of the run. Very small air pressure adjustment for the 18 team. They'll leave, head around to the front stretch where the cars are pitting in front of you, Dylan.
And it's all the junior motorsports cars here on the front stretch. Sam Mayer at the top of the screen, really happy with his race car. Only instructions, avoid the 1 pit box. A couple of stalls ahead of them. There is oil laid down there from the Josh Berry car. Justin Allgaier in the middle, very happy with his car, as you'd expect, that it comes to him nicely in 5 or 6 laps. And Noah Gragson said his car is on top of the racetrack, just needs some more rear grip. Here's the race off pit road. Looks like Allgaier gets it done.
Allgaier's going to stay in front of Gragson, Clements, Hemric, and Haley. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Visit GoCreditOne.com. And by Ford, built Ford proud.
Watching the guys come down pit road here, and the guys battling for the regular season championship are duking it out as they go through turns 3 and 4. A little door slam there from AJ. Let's listen to the radio here from AJ.
I mean, he throttled up so much through the middle of the corner. I was scared to run any harder. I didn't want to be really low, so I was trying to inch up. I don't know, honestly, I don't know if that was on me or him, or both.
Oh, he was definitely trying to hold you down to make you be too low to speed down there, for sure.
So if you take too tight of a radius in the middle of 3 or 4 on pit road, you make pit road shorter, and you can get caught speeding over there. So you got to be careful. If you run too low and you run that same tachometer, same RPMs, you can be speeding.
Yeah, you had mentioned it's time versus distance, so that shorter distance potentially could get you. Allgaier, Gragson, back underway for stage 2.
Lined up on the inside line, the 51 car, Jeremy Clements wasn't able to put on tires this time through, so he's got old tires on. Have to see where he nets out here, if he's able to maintain speed, or will he hold these guys up a little bit with his older tires?
Haley's going to try to go to the outside of that 51.
Anyone gets kind of trapped behind him, he's hanging in there really well right now, Jeremy is. Anybody kind of gets trapped behind him, though.
Well, Jeff, you mentioned, you know, looking at the other races, the truck race last night.
Oh, we're going to be 3 wide here.
Oh, boy. I was getting ready to say tires were at a huge advantage.
Oh, they're 4 wide.
4 wide at Bristol.
We still haven't sorted it out yet.
We talked a little bit ago about spotters being so important. That's a great example right there. Letting your drivers know you're not expecting to be 4 wide. If you're on the bottom, that spotter's got to let you know you got to give them room. Dave.
Coleman Presley, the spotter for the yellow 22 of Cindric, said top of 3, top of 3, top of 3. About 4 times you see Allmendinger getting loose there, and they may have some damage on the left rear of that 22. Keep an eye on it.
Teammates here fighting for a position. A.J. Allmendinger on the inside of Justin Haley, and then Cindric putting the pressure on the 16.
Justin could not give up that spot because he was going to have to give up a few more.
Wilson, take a look at our left rear. Looks fine to me. Donut in front of the tire.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. He should be fine as long as there's no issue with the sidewall of the tire.
How much pressure will Ty Gibbs put on right now the regular season champion contender?
Starting to see a trend at the top as well. 18 of Hemric better on short runs. The 7 of Allgaier better on long runs. So only 16 laps in, we see the 18 creep to the rear bumper of the 7.
Oh, the 18 a little loose right there off of 2. Pretty fun watching these guys battle at Bristol on the bottom of the racetrack. Fighting to get speed around there, slipping all over the place. Great battle right here with the 54 Ty Gibbs, trying to get around Cindric.
He's faster through the center of the corner, but Cindric definitely uses that momentum to get back on the outside of him.
That's what the outside does. It allows you to not have to turn the wheel as much. You can get in the gas a little sooner. Worried about a tire rub. This is where it came from. 4 wide at Bristol. You can expect a tire rub from that. Caution on the racetrack.
Caution comes out, and the 44 looks like one of the flaps up, probably going the wrong direction at some point in time. So Tommy Joe Martins, we were talking about him big time a week ago as he was fighting for a stage win here at Bristol. Take another look.
Yeah, he gets his car turned around off the nose of the 15 car. BJ McLeod. They'll be as happy about this car not hitting anything as they were that stage win last week.
And we'll be back for the restart. Temper's always flaring. There's our Dale Jarrett. Oh, he should have caught that helmet. Well, we're expecting a great race tomorrow. Probably more tempers flying tomorrow. You make sure to join us. 6:30 for a countdown to green. 7:30 Cup Series playoffs from Bristol in that final race. Round of 16. Ward Burton's here. Disappointed with who? Oh, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He just thought Dale's feet were hot. He was trying to share his booties with him.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm glad he calmed down for the race.
Oh, no. He hadn't calmed down yet.
Yeah.
Remember, you guys never forget, right? Never forget. So a lot of fun. That's, again, the end of round 1 for the Cup Series tomorrow. You won't want to miss it. Determine who the next 12 will be that will advance out of the first round of the playoffs for the Cup Series. Over here in the Xfinity Series, right now, there are 12 spots for playoff drivers. 9 of those are already taken. 3 still remain to be filled tonight, and a regular season championship still on the line. As right along now with Jeb Burton. He's been fighting quite a few different drivers on the racetrack tonight.
And Burton, you mentioned it earlier this week. Earlier, Cindric looked to be the guy that was the favorite, and he proved that out first half of the season. Over the last several weeks, they've kind of struggled, and it has really opened up this series. And I think, do you think the other drivers feel that? Do you think a guy like Noah Gragson, certainly A.J. Allmendinger feels it, but does a guy like Jeb Burton even think, hey man, I might have a shot here?
Yeah, I do. I think Noah. I mean, look. Remember Chase Elliott won his championship. Going into that championship battle, no one really was picking him to win it. He got hot at the right time. This guy right here, Noah Gragson's won 2 in a row. So, and there's a little bit of downfall of some of the guys we thought were going to be the ones you had to beat. So, I think it's wide open. I think anything can happen.
About ready to get back into the action. Again, it was Tommy Joe Martins that was around and brought out the most recent caution. 4 cautions already tonight. 3 different drivers have been up front. Allgaier has led 72 laps, Hemric 31, and Noah Gragson 4 as we get ready for the restart.
Outside lane has been one with the most advantage on the restart, seems like all night. Hemric gets a great
It's really loose. He's got an issue, could be a tire issue, or just did not get him cleaned up enough under that caution. Allowed too much debris to collect on those tires.
He saved it amazingly and is still fighting for second now with Noah Gragson.
Noah's loose here.
And the cautions come back out.
You back it down, back it down, back it down.
And it could be some debris on the racetrack. We don't hold the 99 here.
Yeah, Matt Mills right on the front stretch is parked up against the inside wall.
He's got some contact there with the right side and the back end as well. Little crush panel hanging down.
No control.
So interesting, that battle for the race lead. Allgaier was on the outside and got sideways as Hemric was working the inside line.
Yeah, it looked like there's just a lot of grip lost out of the racetrack.
Right there.
Yeah, 10-4.
Yeah.
I would say. Allgaier's like, yeah, it was pretty bad. It's calm. Matt Mills
Bottomed up on the bottom of the racetrack, and
I just wonder if he had some kind of problem. He was really slow off the corner. The guys behind him couldn't get slowed up in time.
Well, and the fact that he didn't drive the car away tells me that maybe, I mean, I know it spun out, but you would normally drive this one away, Jeff, so maybe, it was not under power on corner exit.
either really likes that water bottle or he's going to throw it at somebody.
I was getting ready to say, the way he's gripping it, I think he wants to throw it. He's squeezing it like he's ready to mash it.
Yeah.
And there it goes.
Oh, it hit the, he's mad at the record. Darn you, record
got in the way. Yeah, there was frustration there, and unfortunate for Matt Mills. He's out of the race.
So he must not have felt like he didn't have power leaving the corner.
Nope.
He had the rear. He feels like he had the rear tires off the ground. That's why it wouldn't get going.
Anytime you get out of the car, mandatory ride to the infield care center, so they'll be doing that. Here's another look at the throw, and man, that cable wouldn't have been in the way.
I think he's mad at the record for coming to get him. He's like, record.
Oh, so he was throwing at the 90. He was trying to hit Spencer Boyd.
He's still not satisfied
No, that throw did not quench his thirst of frustration. I want to show him.
Careful.
Move over.
Careful.
Yeah, the AMR guys are like, no, no, no. We need you to stay. Oh! Okay. And frustration has since been voiced.
And he gives the universal sign that everybody knows, especially here at Bristol.
Actually, he needs to just relive history. DJ can throw a helmet. And, well, Tony can throw a helmet.
Lots of different styles.
And then if you can throw a Hans device if you're Denny Hamlin. And Ward Burton, what were you, the heel protectors here?
I guess by this time the helmets had went up in
the
cost.
value?
Yep. Value. Helmets these days in the thousands of dollars. Nobody's throwing them.
Water bottle was cheap.
Did you think Ward was coming in there with you? Like, I think that's as close as I've ever seen a man stand next to a car on the racetrack moving.
If he could have gotten to me, that would have been a bad deal.
Well, by the way, the interview after that was classic from Ward Burton.
I would have not won that one. Not one round.
I want to know, like, do you flinch? Like when they throw something at the window net, do you like, I mean, you know what it's getting to you.
Oh, yeah.
You still flinch a little bit.
Sure. You don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah. Pretty observant by the drivers, though. A driver gets out of his car with a water bottle, and they're like, oh, no, you do not exit with a water bottle. Something's up.
Yeah.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
The AMR guys knew. Right?
Rick, I'd like to let Dale know my daughters don't know that signal just yet, but I bet he made a lot of fans just like somebody else did this week. Josh Williams, I'll be honest, I saw a couple bumps, then a discussion after the race, but it was really the tweet that he put up and then his appearance on the Dale Jr. download that I think for me, Dale, probably you too, I just fell in love with this guy. Like, what a fun dude he is. Had a blast today, just some bad luck at the end, got taken out by a lap car. Dale, what was your big takeaway this week after you had Josh on the Dale Jr. download with you?
Well, our sport needs personalities, and this guy's got lots of them. You can see me trying to pass him. He's like, man, I moved up the high group, found some speed. We had a lot of fun talking about it after the race. This sport needs personalities like Josh. He's kind of like the Kenny Powers of the Xfinity Series. He's got that Work Pro Tools Chevrolet running good tonight. Those guys, they do a lot of hard work with very little in terms of resources and finances. And he's one of the drivers that I think definitely overachieves. And he wants to go into the Cup Series. Like, he believes in that dream to get there. And Reed Sorensen's teamed up with him as a spotter, a veteran driver in our series, in many series throughout the Xfinity and the Cup Series, and they just helped get him there.
Josh was 9th in this race last June, so obviously has had some success here at Bristol.
Yeah, I got to know a few of those guys better this past weekend.
See, Allgaier, he was in second. He picked this outside line behind Hemric. This inside line's not gotten launched very well. Not as bad this time.
Allgaier on that outside is going to be able to clear Gragson through 1 and 2. Now Gragson charging back on the inside. But Hemric once again controlling the race.
Allgaier still really kind of uncertain about where the balance is of that 7 car, but he extends into second place over the 9 of Gragson, able to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
Austin Cindric has made a move. He's up to 4th now, and now trying to get by Gragson.
Gragson's having a hard time as well with the back of his Chevrolet. Getting a little bit loose up the racetrack. Now he's got to fight hard. There's a train of cars right there behind that 22 trying to fill that gap. Looks like everybody is really slick right now with the back of the race car fighting loose.
54 of Ty, up the racetrack. His teammate underneath him, the 19 of Jones. And I think this is what, we're going to see if the outside lane can stay cleaned off. I think when everyone runs the bottom, the outside gets a little dirty. But if we get a long run and we get more lap cars and more traffic, we're going to see people forced to run higher up in the corners.
Brandon Jones, 8 top 5s already this season, said, I just need to stay positive. I've got to try to continue to stay positive. He's right now in a position where he can make the playoffs, 11th in points, and under pressure from Ty Gibbs trying to get by him.
Let's see this outside lane. See, right in the middle of the corner, that's where there's no grip. Getting into the corner and the exits, there's grip right there, but it has not developed in the middle of the corner yet, Dave.
Continuing on the 19 car there, top of your screen, yellow number 19. It hasn't been a good summer. He admits it, and he really needs to find himself a way into the playoffs. He's in the danger zone if Herbst or outpoints him, right? They're going to separate by just 1 point to start. Right now, Riley Herbst has been having a struggle, so Jones is in a good position running forward after starting 16th. He's 8th now.
Riley working really hard underneath Josh Williams right now. And Josh, man, doing his thing. He's like the Kenny Powers. Now he's the Ryan Newman of the Xfinity Series, racing these guys hard. And look now, Herbst up the racetrack, losing positions after failing to win that battle.
Right,
22 car using the top of the racetrack here. Maybe experimenting a little bit. Now there's a little bit of room between him and the 11. Can move around and try some things.
Cindric running in the 4th spot. Haley 5th. Allmendinger's back there in 6th. Gibbs 7th. Brandon Jones, Sam Mayer, and Jeb Burt in the top 10.
The experiment didn't last long for 22 of Cindric. Gave it 1 set of corners. Saw the 11 of Haley closing in. Goes back to the bottom of the racetrack.
Daniel Hemric, a 7/10 of a second lead over Justin Allgaier right now. Hemric now over 1,000 laps led without a win, but he is looking for that first one here potentially tonight, get him a little momentum as they start the playoffs. 7 times Daniel Hemric has finished second, 9 times Hemric has finished in the second position and looking for that first win. Take a look at the Toyota driver update. I mentioned 112 career Xfinity Series races. Over 1,000 laps led for Daniel Hemric.
So another racetrack that looks very similar from one end to the other, but they really aren't. Your balance can be a little different in 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4. And I only bring that up because as we watch drivers move around, the 22 of Cindric has been very committed to the bottom of the racetrack down here in 1 and 2. But at the other end of the racetrack in 3 and 4, I would say 50-50. Sometimes he runs a bottom, sometimes he runs a lane up. We'll see what he does this time. There you go. There's that 1 lane up. Seems like it's getting pretty clean. Carries good speed through the middle, Dave, and on corner exit.
Stevie's been experimenting with that since the start of the race, and you know what the drivers do as a crew chief. You've heard this before. Tell me my lap times, this compared to that. So the driver knows when he's run the high side, when he's run the low side, and he just wants to know, are my times better or worse? And I'll put that in the bank for later.
And you mentioned it, Steve. This thing visually looks the same one end to the other, but turn 1 and 2 a little bit tighter. It's kind of shaped like an egg, where turns 1 and 2 is a little bit tighter of a corner. Turn 3 and 4 is a bit longer corner. So the car does have a different balance.
Daniel Hemric will be coming up on the lap traffic as he is now. Marty.
And Rick, you talked about the race the 18 has run so far. Hemric having a nice stage 2 here up front in front of Justin Allgaier, who's been catching him a little bit. But I love the way Dave Rogers is leading the team tonight. Listen to what he said when Hemric took the lead a little while ago.
For Daniel Hemric, set the pace now. Set the pace. Good job. Great job.
Hey, Jeff, if you're a driver behind the wheel and your driver or your crew chief is pumping you up, filling you full of confidence with things like that, it's got to help behind the wheel at a place like this. He's battling for the lead right here.
Yeah, it does. They've caught this lap car again. It went to the outside to take the lead.
Yeah, Jay Buford running to the bottom of the racetrack. Stayed committed to the bottom, and it's allowed Allgaier to take advantage of that. And now 18 of Hemric wants to take that position back. He knows, man, I shouldn't have let that happen. How did that happen? Here he goes to the top. Maybe he can have the same exact thing happen here where he could trap the 7 behind this lap car, the 44, Tommy Joe.
Allgaier to the outside once again, able to clear Tommy Joe Martins. And Hemric fighting to figure out the correct line around the lap traffic. Hillen.
Guys, you see Justin Allgaier there. He's so good. We've talked about how good he is here at Bristol. He's so good at all of these short tracks that we've run on here in this round. Great at Richmond last week. Crew Chief Jason Burdett said he's just got a great feel for racetracks like this, and that he just gets the car close, that Justin's the difference maker, and that he's going to be able to overcome whatever battles they're facing. So it was interesting listening to the radio, too, at the start of that restart, what lane they wanted to choose. They feel like the outside was the right choice. It was there, and you saw that. But now they just wanted to get this race to go green for a while. Feels like their car really comes in about 20 laps into a run. You saw it there. Hemric caught the lap traffic, but Allgaier was closing on him anyways.
Yeah,
I think if you're driving the 7 or the 9, you really don't want this race to come down to a short run. There's some contact between teammates here, dad and son.
Once again, lap traffic. They call it Chad Fincham, and it just bottles everybody up.
Coming up on the back bumper now of Kyle Weatherman in the 47. And then they'll be right there with Stephen Parsons in the 5. So Stephen Parsons running that higher line. And looks like the 47 of Weatherman's going to go up high also. You're not going to miss a thing as we'll go NASCAR nonstop. Be right back. Make sure to download the official app of NASCAR and follow the action with free live scoring, in-car cameras, and radio broadcasts. Search NASCAR in your app store to download and start a free trial today. Allgaier with still a 7/10 of a second lead as we ride along with Riley Herbst, and Allgaier sideways. The caution comes out. Allgaier, race leader,
nice
sideways.
Looks like he's a little bit upset with this 07 here. Maybe some contact or some difficulties trying to get through the lap traffic.
Yeah, contact, I think, on the front stretch, and he went for a huge slide.
And there was some contact with the left front there as he tried to regain control of this car. So down the front straightaway. Tries to get in this little spot right here. Going to thread the needle on the inside of the 00. Joe Graff Jr. Joe's going to hang on his quarter panel here down the straightaway, and contact is made. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how you save that car.
I don't either.
You get clipped in the right rear.
Yeah, just not clear.
No, he thought he was clear, and he wasn't.
That is drifting at its finest right there for Allgaier.
Joe didn't do anything wrong there. Just 7 not clear. Tried to cross over the nose, and it's a big save.
I can promise you, when he was sideways into turn 1, he thought he was wrecked.
Yeah, it's like damaged wreck.
So let's listen in on Joe Graff Jr.'s radio here.
Turn the leaders. I don't know what he wants from me there. He wasn't clear.
So I understand Allgaier is upset because he thinks that the 07 could have gave him some, a little bit of space and gave him the top, but he doesn't have to. You might expect it, but the 07 is doing nothing wrong. He's, trying to run the best lap he can on corner exit. He doesn't move down or anything. He's up against the wall. It's just, Junior, Jeff, you guys talk about it. There's always cars around you. That, to me, looks like Allgaier, his team, and his spotter perhaps losing a little bit of focus or communication, just assuming the 07 was going to give him the top lane.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, if the 07 does that for one car and he's doing it for half the field, you're literally going to be giving up a second a lap. I mean, so much time. You're going to go down 2 laps, 3 laps, 4 laps. If you're letting everybody get, have the corner, have the straightaway, you have to kind of, you can't do that if you're one of those guys like Joe. You got to race and stay in the gas. You can't lift for every car coming up off the corner on the inside of you. You'll be giving up too much time on the racetrack throughout the night.
And I'll defend the 7's emotion. If I'm Jason Burdett, I'm furious.
Yeah.
Even though the 07 maybe didn't do anything wrong, I'm furious. I'm up here. Now, Jason, he's the calmest guy perhaps on pit road. Him and I worked together a long time, and I was always wound up, and he looked about just like this. So staying nice and calm. But, Dylan, I would be fired up. Even though the 07 didn't do anything wrong, I'd see it my way.
Oh, they definitely, Justin was definitely a little animated, but Eddie DeHaan, the spotter, was probably the most animated on the radio there, but he just came on after everything settled down and said, okay, Justin, deep breath. Justin said, I'm fine. I got a drink of water. We're all good. So that's one thing that this 7 team does really well, that when they get handed adversity, whatever it is, they seem to just regroup and recollect themselves maybe better than anybody else in this field. It's a lot credit due to that guy right there, Jason Burdett, as you said, Steve, but they're very good about just staying in the moment, staying calm, doing what they need to do to rebound from whatever the issue is, keeping themselves in position.
I didn't know if there would be some takers here to try to
There are a
flip
few.
the stage.
A few are going to come. Sam Mayer's coming, Jeff Burton, Wyatt Snyder, Harrison Burton.
It's not a bad idea. You come and get your tires now, then in about 10 laps, you'll stay out at the end of the stage.
Dave.
Riley Herbst is in. The 10 of Jeff Burton is in. These cars were not. Actually, Jeff Burton was in position to get 1 stage point, but they're going to give that up here as they're already through the playoffs, trying to set them up for later in the race, Marty.
Cousin Harrison Burton just in front of him. He said, man, our car is just absolutely terrible right now. Too free most of the way through the corner. When I get back to the gas, it's too tight then. So with 12 laps here left in stage 2, nice move by these crews, Dylan, to come to pit road, get their Goodyear tires now.
And you see Sam Mayer there continues to have a nice solid inside the top 10 day, and nearly got collected there. Looked like Jeremy Clements maybe across the nose. Sam's latest report, just too tight while he gets on the brake, so wanted to free his race car up, and you see him there trying to inch around the Jeremy Clements car.
We just saw the tire carrier get hit there as he was carrying it. And we'll be right back for the restart.
Rick, you mentioned going away to break. Tight conditions, working conditions, contact here between a crew member and the 51. Luckily, just kind of knocks him over and falls on the tire. These guys are so tough, and I was a little surprised the 7 didn't come to pit road, but it sounds lighthearted on the radio.
You know, I've been watching a lot of drifting videos on YouTube lately. I guess maybe I was trying to start my career a little early.
I think you got a future in it.
Yeah, everything's calmed down. It's funny now. It wasn't funny when it first happened. Watch on this restart right here. The 11 car on the bottom in the second lane. He's had a big trouble launching. Marty told us all the other teams are saying, watch him. He's not been able to get good restarts.
I think I'm a little surprised the 7 chose the bottom. He could have chose the top.
Hemric in front of him. Race leader.
Yeah, in the end, no difference though. Ends up in second. I was concerned he might lose more than one spot.
8 laps to go in stage 2. And now Austin Cindric just in front of the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. Again, points at the end of stage 2 could help determine who's going to win the regular season championship.
Watching this 7 car, I always wonder what a slide like that does to the tires, if it hurts them at all, but it appears that Justin's able to fire off and has confidence in the grip, and that car has it.
It is surprising, though. We saw a few cars come to pit road. The first one, I think, is Jeff Burton. New tires just, I mean, they're okay, but they're not a huge advantage. I mean, there were years where if you put on brand new tires here, you could go through the pack. Other years, that year Elliott Sadler won years ago in the Cup race, that's how he won, is they had a great strategy by staying out on old tires. Once again, it just doesn't seem like new tires a big advantage.
Hemric has been out front 69 laps and counting. That's lap 70 that he has led. Allgaier has led 92 laps today.
The battle for these guys back in the pack with the new tires trying to get through is pretty tough. Harrison Burton on the inside of Riley Herbst in turn 3 and 4. Watch this moment right here on corner X, a little contact. Almost comes around. A lap later, Riley Herbst does the exact same thing on the inside of Harrison Burton. Jeff Burton's on his toes up here trying to see what's going on with those guys back there.
Saw Sam Mayer trying to take advantage of that in the 8s. Brandon Brown in that 68.
Sorry, Rick, I was going to say as we ride on board with the 98, pretty big damage to the left front fender. It's kind of peeled open on this 98. This track is fast. I mean, aerodynamics do matter.
Things happen quick here. Coming up on the final lap of stage 2.
Yeah, there you go. There you see the damage. It's kind of peeled forward.
The gap's going to be about a car length and a half between Daniel Hemric and Justin Allgaier. And it's going to be Hemric who will win stage 2 at Bristol.
And while those new tires didn't work to gain through track position by passing a ring, now they can all stay on the racetrack. So Hemric and Allgaier will cycle back in traffic.
7th stage win of the season for Daniel Hemric, and that means those are the only points he has acquired as far as playoff points up to this point. Still has not won a race, but looking for more playoff points, maybe a win here at Bristol. For the start of the final stage, NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Bristol, the Food City 300. And pit road open. We'll see how busy pit road gets.
Everyone needs fuel who has yet to pit. So we have Jeb Burton, Sam Mayer, that group. Harrison Burton will stay on the racetrack, but everyone, the top 9 cars should all be turning left coming to pit road for tires and fuel, Dave.
Austin Cindric finished 1 position ahead of Allmendinger, got that point back that he didn't have earlier. Super tight was what he called his race car. Even with all that line experimenting, he said, I've got to be freed up. It'll be a chassis and air pressure adjustment, Marty.
Daniel Hemric with a stage win, Dave. He said the car fires off so good, a little too free on entry later in the run. He said, honestly, I think the bottom of the racetrack where that PJ1 is starting to give up. I feel better in the second. Justin Haley, bottom of your screen, said we have to get the restarts figured out. See the 07? That is a legal pit stop. I believe they have 3 tires inside that stall, Dylan.
Cars on the front stretch side of pit road. Justin Allgaier in the middle of your screen after that remarkable save. Just reporting he's a little bit free on entry and then tight in the center, so they'll assess the damage quickly to the left front fender. Noah Gragson on the bottom of your screen said the race car's on top of the racetrack. Chassis adjustment, Goodyear tires, and Sunoco fuel for the 9.
See guys making up some big ground there, not changing tires. Did it earlier, but came to add a little fuel. All right, so 2 stages in. Let's check in with KP and DJ, who are on top of the building there in the infield. Guys, how about the first 2 stages of this race?
Well, so far the first 2 stages have been 170 laps of Bristol. This is what you expect when you come at Bristol. Cars that drive good, cars that drive bad, traffic's in the way. You were very prophetic in saying that earlier on, that we were going to be cars in the way. But looking at Hemric and looking at Justin Allgaier, those 2 guys seem to have short run speed and long run speed and seem to be the class.
Yeah, they've kind of separated themselves from the others. Can they make some adjustments to these other cars that'll help them get there? The bottom has been the preferred group to this point, but I'm starting to see some action up on the higher side. I think this is going to get very interesting, and we might see some passes up at the front on that top side here in this last stage.
Listen, Rick, there's nothing better than standing in the infield when these cars are running around trying to talk to each other. We can't hear anything, bud.
You should stand a little bit closer. Well, breaking news, Steve. Couple guys too fast and big names.
Yeah, Noah Gragson and the 7 of Justin Allgaier, 2 Junior Motorsports cars, both speeding. Unfortunately for Noah, this is his first speeding penalty, and Allgaier's second. So 2 drivers that are normally very, very clean on and off pit road, both caught speeding. And with only 124 laps to go, doesn't eliminate them for the race, but it is going to be fireworks at the start of this final stage.
Cars from the same organization, you have to think about how they set the lights on those cars for the drivers to be able to look at the tag and see the lights. And this also makes me feel a whole lot better about last week, where I sped on pit road as well. And so, yeah, it does put these guys in a bit of a hole late in this race. You can't make these mistakes. It's such a short race.
It was the organization then?
Normally it's driver error.
Could be something someone else.
Something with the organization.
I think one teammate was chasing the other one down pit road.
Yeah.
And got themselves in trouble.
Dang, man.
Unfortunate. So Allgaier, after leading 93 laps already in this race.
All right, we talked about it. We saw earlier between the 16 and the 22 speeding up around the corner. Jeff, you talked about it. Segment 7, the corner. That's where both cars were speeding. So the idea is you come down and you follow this radius. The problem is if you come down here and you go short like this, you get too quickly. You shorten up the segment times. You shorten up the distance between the red lines. So it's going to calculate your speeding just because of the math. This is nothing new. So I don't want the fans at home to think, oh, they need to do something different. It has been like this since this pit road was changed from a single front stretch and a single back stretch. The drivers should know, but Dale, to your point, 2 in the same organization tells me maybe not only their tax settings, but their opinion about how fast you are allowed to go around that corner, how much you can accelerate. So let's just take a look. These are the 2 cars right here leaving pit road, and they got to turn left. You see them speed up.
That's what I was going to say, Steve, is that's what the teams do. The teams know they can actually run faster in that section. If you listen to a spotter will say, okay, add 200, and they'll go 200 RPMs quicker through there. But if you add 225, it's too much.
Right.
And so all the teams have gotten really smart about how to maximize all areas of pit road just trying a little too hard right there.
Yeah, there's another issue too. When you change the speed of the car, you add throttle or lift, you create a bucking sensation in the car, and the car starts to buck, and it's harder to maintain a smooth speed. And that happens when we have these curved pit roads where you can get aggressive in some areas, and other areas you have to slow the car back down.
Yeah, so every time the car bucks, it moves forward, then it goes back, and the tachometer needle, it moves like maybe 1,000 RPMs. It's just bouncing up and down. You have to be able to lock that needle in to get your pit road speed, and you just can't do it when it's moving around.
Is there enough time to rebound from this mistake?
I don't think so. It's too short of a race. The competition up front is going to be too tough, and it's a one-lane racetrack right now. Now, if this track widens out, that might change things a little bit, but it's going to be too hard for them guys to get back to the lead.
A little different tire strategy up front now. Jeb Burton, Sam Mayer. Riley Herbst on the inside.
Back in the pack there, the two-car Myatt Snyder spinning the tires allows Hemric to get to the bottom of the racetrack in that 18.
And they were both on a little bit older tires on the bottom. They needed a great restart to get ahead of those guys with a little fresher tire. Good battle here.
Sam Mayer in the 8 trying to get by Jeb Burton in the 10.
Sam's been working that high lane. He was one of the first guys to go there and be able to make it work.
Sam Mayer won in the trucks here a year ago at just 17 years old. And now out in front of Bristol.
Sam had a terrible night last night. Ran the ARCA race, blew a right front tire in practice. Got in a wreck early in that race, got in a wreck in the truck race. Just a terrible night, but making up for it tonight, leading this race.
Josh Williams in the 92 trying to stay in front of Austin Cindric. Cindric moving on the outside there.
On the bottom of your screen, the 9 and the 7. Now they've cleared a little traffic. It looks calm, but just in front of them, more lap traffic and lead lap cars are trying to work through both. So here the 9 and the 7 running the top of the racetrack. You mentioned it was one groove, Dale. Well, for the speed of the cars they're passing right now, they can use that second groove. We'll see if they can continue as they move towards the front.
And again, the fight for the regular season championship. Now only 116 laps to go from Bristol. And those guys are very tight in points between the 16 and 22 as they run on the racetrack. 2 points right now separating the top 2 for the regular season championship.
Yeah, up until this point, they had earned the same amount of points in the stage finishes. They were tied up to that point.
See Jeremy Clements in the 51 just in front of Cindric.
Great one by that 51 car, trying to do something different. These two back here are still just battling it out. All right, so we talked about it. It's kind of leapfrog through traffic. We're right here. You're going to see they both are trying to get past the 31. Sage Karam behind the wheel. Sage doesn't know which lane he needs to go to. The 7 gives him a shot in the quarter panel. The 9s are on the outside. You talk about taking an IndyCar driver and bringing him to stock cars. This has got to be the biggest transition that's coming to this place.
I guess the last place you would pick on the schedule. He ran one Xfinity race before on the road course.
Guess what? Hey guys, the 07 and the 7 are next to each other. Look at the 07. Joe Graf Jr. went way up the racetrack. Said, "I'm not even going to get anywhere near these guys."
I know he's mad. No part of it.
Marty.
These guys trying to work their way back from the back of the pack. Meanwhile, I want to go back to what Daniel Hemric said a moment ago. He said, I honestly feel like the PJ1 on the bottom of the track is giving up. We've seen a number of cars like Myatt Snyder right there working that high line, trying to get around Ty Gibbs. The high line seems to be coming in, Junior. I think that's going to be a factor late in this race.
Yeah, it seems like it's working better in 3 and 4 than it is in 1 and 2. So we'll have to see how those guys utilize it. But the pace at the front is still so fast, and the leader in clean air, I don't know that a guy's going to go to the top of the racetrack and pass inside the top 3. But definitely back here in traffic where everybody's fighting dirty air, you might be able to use that high line.
On the top, you see the 68 of Brandon Brown currently in the 6th position. Great story. This is a driver that needs to win a race to make the playoffs. So you figure out how you can make an adjustment as we see him racing with the 11 of Justin Haley. Well, the 68's partner, TradeTheChain.com, has been a partner of Brandon Brown's. They stepped up this week and they bought an A motor. And the reason I said that is because some teams you have to run maybe a little less horsepower to give yourself a best opportunity as the battle continues between the 7 and the 9. But how about the 68? A sponsor stepping up and saying, we're going to give him the best chance he can to win a race. Give him that A motor, full horsepower. Give him a shot here at Bristol. Currently 8th. You never know what can happen with 106 to go.
talked about, in the middle of traffic, tight battling. Here's Allgaier trying to make it 3 wide through lap traffic, ends up getting into the side. The 23 car, that's Ty Dillon in that car tonight. And Noah Gragson trying to take advantage of it. We'll see this all night, guys. Lap traffic is going to play a role in this race.
I mean, they already had the 7 already went for the power slide once down the front stretch.
Drifting. Working on his drifting as Allgaier trying to work his way up from a mistake on pit road speeding. He's up to 16th now. Gragson is 18th. Both of them we starting at the back of the field. Up front, Sam Mayer and Jeb Burton holding their track position.
The 17 car high up the racetrack in turns 1 and 2 with a flat left front tire.
Oh, it's going to get narrow on corner exit right here.
Yeah, probably going to bring out a caution here if he can't get to pit road. It does.
Nice job.
So Carson Ware, who's driving for Rick Ware Racing, is behind the wheel and left front tire down, brings out the caution for the 8th time.
He did a good job there keeping that car up the racetrack. I mean, I've seen so many times the guys try to get down the racetrack on the back straightaway to try to get to pit road, end up collecting cars, creating a bigger problem for themselves. But he had a little issue and it slowed the car down for about a half a lap. And there you see it, the left front tire finally gives up into turn 1, drives the car up the racetrack.
8th caution already in this race. There's only 7 in this race a year ago, so it's yellow filled. Big question now is, you know, as we see, it's a good job by Carson to stay out of the fence. You know, does Allgaier and Noah do they feel they can just drive up there? The reason I say that is because if you were going to pull some sort of strategy and you said tires didn't matter, you could come put your last set of tires on. It's really early, and I'm not sure I could stomach that decision. I'd be too nervous. But, you know, they've recovered the 16th and 17th. Is this the call where the crew chief say, I don't think we could drive there? I agree with you, Dale Jr. The race is too short. We're going to have to do something crazy. So pit now and hope we get a caution in 30 or 40 laps where we can stay out and cycle to the front. I wouldn't make that decision, but the opportunity's there.
Yeah.
And you know, you got to gamble at point.
Well, maybe you rubbed off on Jason Burdett all the time you guys have spent together. Maybe he thinks the same way.
Jason and I have been great friends for a long time. The man, he was the best man at my wedding, and I can assure you, nothing I have ever done has he picked up on, because he's very conservative, very calm, slow speaking, great leader. He's him and I could not be more opposites. That's why we were such good teammates, because we would cover both sides of the spectrum. You see? I can't even sit during the race.
That's him, full excitement.
Oh yeah, that's a 10 of 10 right there.
You know, what's hard for him right now is that, you know, they were in position to win this race, right? And they can't quit, though. They can't, like you mentioned it, Steve. He's not quit. He's not saying we can't win this race. He's trying to think about how he can win this race. When does that caution come out? What can he do different? Maybe everybody pits and he doesn't. Maybe he pits when nobody else does. He's working harder right now than he would be if he was leading this race.
Keep swinging.
And let's check in on Riley Herbst. Dave.
Running third, Rick, and they pitted on lap 158. Kind of that off strategy. But listen to his radio right here.
That was weird. It did it wrong off the grid, like the transmission was stuck. And I had to bang on it with my fist, and then it did it choosing to, but now it's free for some reason.
What it did, the car was not operating well in the transmission side. The last time, he just mentioned it, when he came to the choose cone, when he was on the front row. So up front, Riley Herbst is concerned about what his transmission might do before he goes green every time.
That was a great camera angle. You saw the shifter handle right basically in the front of the screen. We can take a look and see it. There it is. So right here, it's so close it's hard to kind of make out what you're looking at, but basically that's the shifter handle. We can watch him on this restart and just see how he does. The concern I have is, as stacked up as the restarts get here, if that thing hangs in gear, losing spots is the least you're concerned, Jeff, but backwards in turn 1 would be a bigger concern.
Oh yeah, that'd be, you know, the guys behind you will all get crammed up in your rear bumper. It'll be a wreck behind you. You hope it's not you.
Rutledge.
Rick, you know, a lot of people at home are probably wondering, what's the price of aggression here at Bristol? I happened to find a Hall of Famer, Dale Jarrett. He's holding a beautiful helmet. A helmet like this, $1,500 plus another $1,500 painted. So if he gets mad at, say, I don't know, Kyle Petty, and he hurls the helmet at Kyle in the middle of the race, that's not enough. He's going to say, give me that $1,500 at least, Hans, and chuck that at Kyle. Before you know it, sorry whoever I borrowed that from, before you know it, guys, you're just throwing cash out the window, and you might catch it if you're Dale Jarrett, like he got so close. But, guys, there is a price to that water bottle. I'm going to guess $7.99, probably U.S. dollars.
Hey, you know when I drive the NBC car, that's my stuff.
Jeff, I'll put that back in your locker. That's on me. Sorry about that.
Look at DJ's throw there. Yeah. He actually, we were talking about that a little bit before the race, and he said, man, I wish I would have caught that thing. It bounced right back at me.
It's a Kansas City Chiefs uniform or your helmet that he threw. That year, Dale Jarrett wore a helmet of all of the NFL teams. It was really, really cool.
How many of those do you have?
I don't have any of his.
You don't have the Washington football one? I forget
Really?
it would be.
But I was just wondering.
That one would be the one to have.
The Chiefs one?
Yeah.
That he threw? Yeah,
Oh,
with the
yeah.
history it has there.
I have a feeling it's sitting in maybe Gary Nelson's garage or something.
Yeah, right.
NASCAR official.
Old
probably
NASCAR
got that
official.
thing.
Yeah. All right, 2 by 2. And this time it's Sam Mayer on the outside and Jeb Burton on the inside for the restart. Under 100 laps to go, 96 now.
Oh, big stack up at the front of the field.
Mayer clears Jeb Burton. Here comes Hemric working that outside line with Cindric behind him.
Hemric to the bottom of the racetrack underneath Jeb down the front straightaway.
Little crossover move, and can Hemric get past for second?
Jeb a little loose off of turn 2. That allows the 22 of Cindric to get through. Cindric in a second.
Cindric all the way up behind the 18. The 18 gets loose. He drops back to third. Cindric now in second.
It looks like there's pretty big damage on the right rear quarter panel of the 11. That would make a big difference here. That car would be really loose without that quarter panel to lean on. And there it goes, sliding up the racetrack. Loose, no grip. You see it kind of crumpled in back there.
22 right here. Let's see. The 18 just gets loose. Hemric up the track.
Oh, and right above him, you see
There's
at the
the
top
damage.
of the screen. Yeah, the 19 runs into the back of the 11. It's amazing, Jeff, how sensitive that quarter panel is.
Oh, yeah. You don't want that right rear torn off.
Goes Ty Gibbs inside of Lance Snyder. Now you see Allgaier.
Oh, boy.
Getting up into the mix here. He gets into the back of Harrison Burton.
I'm telling you this, the racing that happens outside the top 10 is harder than what's happening in the top 10.
No question.
We know. We watched last week. You were elbows up back there.
I was in the middle of it.
Riley Herbst right there got in the back of Jeb Burton, just moved him up the racetrack a little bit.
Here comes AJ in the 16.
Starting to get even more aggressive, guys.
90 to go.
I think there's a moment in each race when that last stage green, when they throw the green flag up, it's all right, no more yellows, or not guaranteed, right? And they all feel like it's time to go.
And fuel hasn't been a concern this whole race, Steve. They're good to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, all of these guys can, from the last pit stop, should be able to make it no problem.
Brandon Jones shuffled out. He's on the high side as we see the 54 of Gibbs working the inside line. Those two 7th and 8th right now.
Yeah, Gibbs expecting him to have a stellar night tonight. They just really kind of fought the grip in this car, overall grip in the 54 for Ty. He takes that position away.
Mike Snyder now to the inside of Haley in the 11. It's Sam Mayer out front. Cindric running second as we go NASCAR nonstop. You saw it all in NASCAR nonstop, so the Jaws music being played right now as we see the 22 closing in on Sam Mayer.
22, they both run the bottom of the racetrack we're heading to right now. This is 1 and 2. Right around the bottoms where they've been running. The 22 is going to try the top. The 22 has been consistently running the top down here in 3 and 4. We'll see if he gets the opportunity to move up the racetrack without lap traffic. I think this is the end where Sam has to be the most concerned.
The 22 has a little bit better tire, a little bit more pace, I think just a faster car, but passing will be difficult. The experience could play a role with lap traffic. Sam might have more difficulty trying to figure out where they are going to go. Where does he go to get around them? And it may open up an opportunity for this 22 car. But again, down to the bottom of 1 and 2. Now will Cindric try the top of 3 and 4 and hope that maybe the 8 car gets pinned down here on the bottom.
When the track starts to change, exactly what he did right there is what you can do. You can enter in the middle and exit on the bottom. When it starts to get that outside, first starts to happen, that's what you'll see.
Steve, Jeff Jr., you guys all mentioned this earlier in the race. Austin Cindric had been maybe trying a few different lines. Is he putting all of that memory that he has, is he putting that into effect right now?
Yeah, that effort's paying off, don't you think?
Yeah, but I also think that he knows he's got a rookie in front of him that's going to be impatient with lap traffic. He's been in this situation that Sam's in. Sam right here. Impatience, contact, more
Here
contact.
The 22 comes to the inside for the lead. Austin Cindric goes to the inside of Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer trying to fight back on the outside.
This outside can work in 3 and 4. Sam's not going to be able to do it. Good run on the exit. Oh, contact!
Hard into the wall. The 22 caught him.
Sam got a good run on exit. Wanted to spot.
No smoke yet. No smoke. Have to use the ace.
Composite bodies are tough.
Yeah, it looked like that was a little bit harder hit for the 8 car than the 22. Cindric back to the top of the racetrack trying to drive away.
The top of this racetrack starting to be the best place to go. It's getting ready to switch here in the next 10,
I
15,
see no
20
smoke.
laps.
We'll look at pictures.
That's all Cindric really had to do is sit there and be patient and allow that situation to play itself out. So the 8 gets trapped under the 44 car, has to lift a ton off the corner, makes a lot of contact trying to get to the inside there. And Cindric catches him in that vulnerable situation. Now coming off the corner here, Cindric comes up off the corner and tries to clear himself. He's not clear. Sam's trying to fight for every inch. They both make contact with the fence. Almost detrimental for both drivers, both cars, but that's a really hard hit for the 8. Not too terrible for the 22 as he's driving away.
Yeah,
first place.
I mentioned the track. I think the outside's starting to come in, and I don't think the spotter of the 22 car or the driver of the 22 car, Austin Cindric, thought that outside could work, that there would be enough grip there for Mayer to take advantage of it, but there was, Dave.
When was the last time we talked about how tough these Xfinity Series cars are? Austin Cindric proving it right there. And when we discussed this track earlier today, he told me it was a rough start in the trucks, but I finally got it there. And I feel like my progression in the Xfinity Series has been pretty good as well. I think I'm ready for a win. Well, he's got 64 to go, monitoring that damage on the right-hand side. And if he does win, it'd be a first victory in NASCAR at Bristol.
At a short track, and that's one big thing for Austin Cindric as the wreck happens on the front stretch.
There's Tommy Joe and the 66 car of David Starr. Spun around the front straightaway here.
Restart.
Well, first, do you pit? Can't get to the restart yet. Take to go. Everybody has a set of tires left. Do you think tires are important? Someone's going to come to pit road. I just don't know who with 21 cars in the lead lap. Who thinks they need tires? Who wants to make adjustments as a 66 David Starr trying to get his car righted? Right here in front of us, guys.
Look like they're, Tommy just gets in the left rear quarter panel on David. David was trying to go underneath Weatherman in the 47, I believe. Just too many cars going for the same piece of real estate. Luckily, no major damage, just some flat tires. Looks like this 66 of David Starr's having some trouble getting his car going because of those flat tires.
I thought he was waiting for the man in the 44, but in the end, it was just...
I believe he's struggling, just trying to get that thing moving in the right direction. Maybe it's broken
On
something
this
in the
side, see
steering.
if you can get it to the apron. Start easing it down if it will.
So you see on the left-hand side, you know, 158,
Get it, I can't get it to
174.
turn, I'm trying.
Well, wasn't it last week that David Starr was in front of Tommy Joe Martins at the end of the stage? Remember, Tommy Joe gets up front, looks like he might win, and he's behind David Starr, and he didn't end up winning that stage. So, difficult situation there. David said he can't get it to turn.
Yeah, something's definitely broken. I mean, we see it as a flat tire, but it should still be able to turn and change direction.
He's having a hard time going left.
Well, we'll see if anybody thinks they need to put a set of tires in.
I want to go back to something Junior said earlier about Austin Cindric and being patient. That's the same driver that about 3 years ago we talked about how aggressive he was. Then a year ago he wins the championship, but now you're talking about him being patient.
Well, before all that went down with them banging into each other and into the fence, I'm thinking Austin was Sam Mayer 3 years ago. He's seen this. He knows exactly what he's driving up on, and he knew to be patient there and wait on that opportunity to present itself to be able to get around Sam. Let's listen to some audio.
You can feel free to tell the driver to chill out. That was obviously by accident.
Yeah, so this was during the caution, and he's saying this might not have been necessary.
Yeah, he's just 8's upset and pounding on the back bumper. I probably set a bad example last week.
I was getting ready to say, did he learn that from his owner? Because I saw his owner do that a week ago. Just
okay, it looks a little different from the booth, I guess. It feels good if you're behind the wheel of that 8 car, though.
You know, we used the word organization earlier.
Man, I'm going to tell you. Gosh, I'm glad you drive one a year because the material that gets created is just...
Everybody seems to enjoy it.
It is endless.
Well, Sam's only 18, and you're what, 57?
Whoa!
Oh, my gosh.
Whoa.
There should be, you know, we expect you to be a little more mature.
Fortunately.
I'm sorry.
All right,
Fortunately, you know how it is behind the wheel of that car.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here they come, Steve. Let's go to Dave.
Riley Herbst has been very mature behind the wheel of that black 98 car. He was told, if you keep doing what you did the last run, we're going to be okay till the end. He needs his car just a little bit of air pressure adjustment to keep it from getting too tight. Middle of your screen, Austin Cindric, what do you need? I need a little bit more on the front end of the run. That'll be an air pressure adjustment too, Marty.
Front end of the run. That's where Daniel Hemric is so good. He said at the end of the run, I just couldn't get back to the gas because the car was way too free. But he told Dave Rogers, don't make a big adjustment. We are so close. Rogers promised it would be a small adjustment. Back to the front side of pit road. Ty Gibbs there, and he said the right rear is, quote, super upset. He said it was loose all the way to the wall. In fact, he at one point almost came to pit road thinking he had a tire that was going down, Dylan.
Sam Mayer in the middle of your screen. Tab Boy, the spotter, crew chief Taylor Moyer, just reminding him to stay calm. Said the car's a little bit tight late center after landing. Monitored that damage as well. Justin Allgaier at the bottom. They are good where they're at. Marching back forward after that incident and pit road penalty inside to the top 10.
Coming up on the restarts, it's the last race of the regular season.
Nitro Rallycross is right around the corner. I'm Travis Pastrana, 11-time X Games gold medalist and founder of Nitro Circus, and we're bringing to you the most high-flying motorsport known to man with Nitro Rallycross Cars That Fly, Tracks That Thrill. Right there in the comfort of your own home on Peacock. I made the final! Coming live to Peacock, September 24th and 25th. Don't miss it.
If you love the beating and banging of Bristol, then you are going to love Nitro Rallycross next weekend on Peacock. The one thing I'm going to tell you, they're going to have guys like Travis Pastrana, Tanner Faust, but I don't know if they're going to have a sword for a trophy, but they will have the beating and the banging. Guys, here at Bristol, this is the best trophy round. I think I can borrow this one, but all I want to ask is, are you entertained? Are you not entertained, Dale Jr.?
I'm always entertained when Rut's around.
Just don't throw that, Rut.
With a sword, it's a little more crazy. Speaking of crazy, Travis Pastrana, probably one of the craziest, most entertaining men on the planet. Yes, by the way, you did see him jump out of an airplane without a parachute.
No thank you. I will say, though, I think he had a good idea. 2-seat rallycross.
Yeah, you should always have like a rider in there just if
sure.
Just for screaming purposes?
Yes. So everybody knows.
Then we need to get Jeff Burton in here.
I will not ride. I'll drive if you ride.
Ooh, I think that might be one of those you're going solo. All right, getting ready for the restart. 53 laps to go. Austin Cindric, a great restart. And it hurts with the 98 on the inside.
7 of Allgaier. Nice recovery from that speeding penalty all the way up. Well, I was going to say fourth. Call it the third position as he rolls the outside right here.
As we're late in this race, that outside should be even better on restarts, and you see it. That outside line, the top 3 moving forward. Now we got a battle for second. 7, Allgaier. I said he couldn't get back to the lead. I think I might have to eat those words.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough pass here. Ware, he's got that outside working. We saw him early in the race, sooner than most, running that outside.
Now you see a little bit of momentum and speed in the top group of 1 and 2. We definitely know it's a little bit better down here in 3 and 4.
Cindric ahead of Allmendinger by 3 points, by the way.
Yeah, Noah sideways, trying to run high in 3 and 4. Just got a little bit too high.
That regular season championship up for grabs still. Cindric 3 points ahead of Allmendinger. Look at Brandon Brown coming up on the back of that 9 of Noah Gragson.
Brandon Jones. Oh, excuse me.
Brandon Brown in the 68.
I'm watching.
You're watching the top.
You're going to tell me top or bottom. You had me all confused. There's 2 Brandons.
There's 2 Brandons doing really good right now.
I'm correcting what I'm seeing, not what you're talking about.
The Brandon up top, putting a little pressure on the 7. The Brandon down low, getting around the 9. Too many Brandons. 2 great Brandons, yeah.
How about Allmendinger? I know this is crazy to say, but he's running 5th in a somewhat quiet night. I mean, he has a little going on the right side, but we haven't really seen him in a whole lot of action.
Look at Noah.
Banging. Wow. He heard that the 7 was trying the drifting, so he wanted to give it his own shot.
He's always been pretty flamboyant when it comes to his driving technique, and that right there was interesting. Way up the racetrack. Allmendinger knows he's got to catch up to Cindric if he wants that regular season championship.
Jeff Burton's got trouble off of turn 2. The 10 car down the back straightaway, way off the pace. Flat tire, I believe, on the right front of this 10 car. We're right on board.
Flat tire, guys. Flat tire on the 10 car of Jeff Burton.
Yeah, no way to get down. Riding along with him.
Stay up there. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Stay up there. You got 3 more to get by you there when you're going to pit.
He was 8th, and now can he get all the way to the bottom of the racetrack? He does.
Yeah, this happened before. This was Harrison Burton getting into the back of the 2 car of Myatt Snyder. And then right here, Myatt Snyder and Jeb getting together. Myatt's had enough of the Burtons right now. He's like, ah.
That's going to be an interesting Christmas list. Oh, and Jeff Burton's going to.
Oh, the 39.
Stay out.
Crossing down the racetrack on the back straightaway, right in front of the leader. Incredibly close.
Yeah, he's got a problem. Ryan was really slow down the back straightaway. He was trying to get to pit road.
I thought for sure Cindric was going to plow into the back of that 39 car.
Well, the 10 was coming to pit road and then decided to stay out, but he makes me nervous every time he slides up on the banking in front of traffic.
Yeah, if he has a tire down, which one is it?
Rick, they think it's just right sides on. They think it's right front, so they're just going to take right sides on the 10 car.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I don't think the 22 knew which way he was going to go. And he seemed, the 39 of Ryan Sieg seemed pretty undecided there for a moment. That was touch and go, man. Close call for the leader.
This place is just awesome. You know, people, we could talk about what the Bristol Night Race is and use all these great adjectives to explain. It's just awesome. Come and watch it.
Yeah.
Out the window, there's battles everywhere. We're showing you Gragson with a big slide, Myatt Snyder. There's just so much action around this track.
Myatt almost to the back bumper there of Gragson.
Myatt's had good speed tonight. Had a fast race car. Just
still something wrong though with the 39 of Ryan Sieg. He's back down to the apron. We'll see if he gets off the racetrack. He does, and this battle continues. One of the Brandons in front of Noah here. Steve, you get to choose.
No, I had it wrong once already today, what you were calling. I'm just staying out of the fray here.
Battle for seconds, tighten back up. Is over the long run, the 7 car of Allgaier gets a little more comfortable and he finds a little more pace, and he's drove back up to the back bumper of the 8 of Sam Mayer. Now will he be able to move around the racetrack and be able to do what he needs to do to make the pass? Sam's going to run the line he needs to run. Be hard and difficult to pass.
And what a great job Sam Mayer has done. Very young man, limited experience in this Xfinity series. We talked to him before his first race, Steve, remember? And he was like, I'm coming to win. I'm going to win right now. You know, he was full of enthusiasm and excitement, Dylan.
And I think the biggest thing they've tried to teach him just every single time he gets behind the wheel of this race car is be efficient. That's the word they've used, whether it's efficient in traffic, efficient with his equipment, whatever the case may be. And that's been put to the test tonight. He's got Tab Boyd, who spots for William Byron in the Cup Series, in his ear, who's been coaching him around here all day long. And you're certainly seeing his maturity kind of showcase here as he works through this lap traffic and continues to try to hold off Allgaier.
He goes by Stephen Parsons there in the 5. The 39 of Ryan Sieg is getting posted. He was on pit road, then came out, but has never got up to speed. So now he's going to try to get back to pit road.
As we come up to almost 30 laps to go, it's really going to come down to the lap traffic. I think the 8 and the 7 have a little bit more pace on the long run. You see them closing this gap on the 22 of Cindric, who leads this race, but all that lap traffic, who gets through it the best? I think it's harder for the leader to get through lap traffic because the lap traffic's trying to stay on either the lead lap or not lose an additional lap. Right there, the 44 cost the 22 a ton of time. Cindric not able to get off the corner. That's a car length. Here's another car length here and there. All that adds up. Look at this right here. Cars side by side.
Yeah, 2 wide in front of him. There's nowhere to go for Austin Cindric. He just has to go in. You've said it multiple times today. Be patient. 1 car at a time. They're side by side. Don't push the issue here.
Cindric is boxed in, and let's listen into the 8 radio.
You got to time these passes better, man. All about the momentum off. You can't get jammed up on exit. You're clear.
A little bit of contact there by the 8.
And that's great coaching. Basically, the spotter telling the driver, hey, try to look ahead. And if you have to give up a little entry speed, corner exit. You have to carry momentum on corner exit.
So that's what, that's what I love about the 22's line, at least in 3 and 4. He'll go up the racetrack and create that run and that momentum off the corner to pass the lap traffic and set that pass up. If you drive into the corner underneath them, you have to lift off the throttle on corner exit on the bottom and give up a ton of time. And look, the 22 stretched that lead back out because of the difficulties of the 8 car trying to pass lap traffic low.
I'm a little surprised we haven't seen someone else run up the racetrack here. I mean, the 22 clearly runs the middle. The 8 and the 7, though, committed to the bottom.
Still new on pretty young, early on tires, though, Steve. You know, it seems like that top will work better as the tires get a little bit worn.
I can see that. Handling goes away. Car gets a little tighter. Move up to the middle.
When does the frustration hit you, drivers? The fact that Justin Allgaier has led the most laps in this race, 94. He's sitting there in 3rd. Might not be enough laps to get back up there. How aggressive do you get at the end of this race?
I mean, he's probably trying everything he can to do what he needs to do. Look at this traffic again, creating opportunities for the 8 car. They've closed in that lead. Little contact right there. Sam Mayer not afraid to be aggressive on the back bumper of Cindric. More contact to the left rear.
And what happens with this left?
Look at that left rear tire. All of the lettering knocked off of the left rear of the 22.
Well, what about the right front of the 8? There was the contact there as well. No lettering on the right front. And here comes the 7.
You worry about that splitter contact or any kind of contact from that right front, cutting the left rear tire of another car. You see it time and time again.
way up the racetrack. Now 1, 2, 3, nose to tail.
In clean air, the 22 seems to drive away, put a little distance between these two.
Allgaier starting to put a lot of pressure on Ware right here.
Did that contact, Rick, like you mentioned on the right front of the 8, did that hurt that car in the balance?
This is going to be a difficult pass. Ware's got that outside working. Allgaier knows he's got to clear him first. If he can, he's got a chance to run the 22 of Cindric down.
I hate to say it because they're teammates, but I don't know if you can pass a guy without being aggressive here, without being physical on this racetrack.
It becomes even harder to be physical. So you watch Sam Ware on the bottom right here. So right there is an opening for Justin to be aggressive and be physical. But over here, it's more difficult because Sam runs up the racetrack. And then he gets such a run on corner exit, it's hard for Justin to do anything with that. This is the opportunity of the movie. Right here in the middle of 1 and 2. But
there's
there
the
it goes.
Contact right there.
Not enough to get him out of position. And so right now, Sam Ware holding on to second. And while these two are fighting for second, Cindric pulling away.
Yeah, Allgaier went to the top that time. Let's see what it'll do for him. Didn't work. Doesn't help him on the corner on the straightaway, though.
Yeah, you're running out of laps, so you got to think about how to get around this 8. Here's a chance to cross over and get low.
He didn't like that move. Ware pulled right up in front of him.
I think the balance is going away for both these guys. They're finding a hard time really kind of putting each other in a difficult or a compromising situation. Both cars kind of equaling out as tires wear. The 22's loving this as he's driving away to over a second, 4/10.
Sam Ware holding on to second, Allgaier third. Sam Ware's best finish on a short track 12th. That was Richmond a week ago. 9th, his best overall finish at Atlanta earlier this year, and right now trying to hang on to second.
As we watch this battle for second, look up to the lead and see that 22 of Cindric and Junior. You and I in the pre-race show discussed who needed a win. You mentioned Allgaier. You thought this is a great track for him. He's here running in third. I mentioned Cindric. You know, it's hard to believe a guy that's won 5 times. I thought he needed momentum, but if he could come here, win at Bristol for the first time, this will clinch the regular season championship if he can keep this same gap to Allmendinger back in 4th. I mean, this is a lot of momentum for the driver of the 22 if he can close out these last 13 laps.
And think about that. As I mentioned, the regular season champion, you get 15 playoff points. That's like 3 more races that he would win. So he potentially could get the 5 bonus points for winning this race, the 15 for winning the regular season. It'd be like he had won 4 more races just by beating Allgaier in this race, or excuse me, Allmendinger in this race.
I think there's going to be one more wave right here. The 22's had clear track, but now he's catching lap traffic, Junior. They're too wide in front of him. I think the 8, while he looks a long ways back, he's going to have one more shot here with 10 to go to make a run at the 22.
Yeah, some of these cars that the 22 is catching are lead lap cars. They're competitive race cars. They may not be the easiest ones to pass.
10 laps to go.
That would be the only hope for the 8. I think Cindric has got the pace in the car now to outrun both them Chevrolets. I think the 8 and the 7 of Ware and Allgaier have used their cars up racing each other.
More lap traffic for Cindric.
Brandon Brown racing on the outside is going to cost Cindric just a little bit of time right there.
And it's so much pressure off of Austin Cindric because of the gap that he's created. That allows him to be more methodical in getting by these lap cars. Doesn't have to push the issue.
Josh Williams, he's pretty hard to pass, right, Dale Jr.?
He has been, you know, for these guys when he's racing for position, but he may respect the leader here. Just have to see what happens when he gets to the inside. Looks like Josh is going to give him the room. Josh is going to let him go on through here.
Or maybe not. Fires back on the outside.
Yeah,
adding a little more pressure.
Too hard. Yeah, you're going to work too hard. Shows him a lot of respect there.
6 laps to go.
6 to go, and obviously a lot of traffic still in front of him. But again, we mentioned it. He's got that gap. He can be really smart about how he gets by these lap cars.
Yeah, now those lap cars that he just passed are side by side, and the race goes on for second place with Ware and Allgaier.
The bigger issue for him is if the lap cars in front of him have trouble. You know, 2 cars get together, and he's got to check up big time. That's his biggest issue. But this right here is really slowing these guys up.
Yeah, Ware's going to hope that choosing the top's the right choice. Whoa, contact right there. Mayor's going around.
The
Josh
7 hit
Williams
the 8.
spins.
The 8 slides. And the caution comes out. There'll be a restart. Allgaier got into the back of the 8. He goes around. And now a restart.
It all started really on the front stretch. You had mentioned he had chosen the top, but off from turn 4, the 8 kind of changed his decision. He moved to the bottom, and Allgaier, you know, at lap 50, I think he gives him the spot. But
fun and enjoyable. Hopefully the 7
inside 10 to go, he was kind of, I'm not going to say inside it, but at his rear bumper, and Allgaier said, man, I've been working on this pass for the last 50 laps. I'm not letting him in.
Yeah.
And he makes contact with the 8 and sends him up the racetrack.
Yeah, so the 8 car coming up on this lap traffic. Sam looking here, where do I go? You see down here in 3 and 4, he's going to choose the top, thinking that the 92 car is the one that will prevail in this side-by-side battle. But down the front straightaway, he changes his mind, wants to go back to the bottom of the racetrack. The 7 car commits to the entry. Contact is made and sends these 2 around.
If I'm Sam Mayer, I'm pretty frustrated about that. I mean, I don't know. That's a really aggressive driver from a teammate. I would not be happy.
I'd be very upset if I was getting spun out with a couple laps to go running second.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like throw your helmet upset?
No, he's still in his car.
I'd
so
be upset if I was anybody spinning out
Yeah.
with 2-3 laps to go in this race.
I mean, it's hard racing. I mean, I'm not, if Allgaier's got to go, he knows the end's coming. The only way he's got a chance to win is to get to second, but that, it didn't cut his teammate any slack whatsoever.
Let's listen in to Allgaier's radio communication.
And I was in there. I don't know what I should have done different there.
Just start thinking about this restart.
I love the communication back from the spotter. I understand what Justin's saying, and it's going to be some communication. And Mayer is going to be mad, and there's going to be meetings this week, and they're going to have to figure this out. But right now, we can't go back and relive it. So let's look forward. We got to have to figure out how we can win this race.
That's exactly right. I mean, listen, you hate it happen with your teammate, but it happened. Move on. You're going to have a chance to win this race in an overtime restart. Just put that ahead of you.
Sam was running a good race, and he's a talented driver, and these are the tough lessons you learn.
All right, guys, let's look forward also. The restart, what line do you choose? Look who's now in the picture. Allmendinger's right here with Cindric. They're racing for a regular season championship.
Well, you see in the bottom left. I'm sorry, Junior, that's 1 point. So I was going to point out for that championship.
Well, our guy has 2 choices here. Does he want to try to win the race, or does he want to try to get the best result? So I think if you're just going for a result tonight, he's going to pick that outside line, because that's absolutely going to prevail, because that's where the control car is going to be. I think if Cindric's in the outside, like I think he will be, the 7 picks the outside line, that's a safe play. If he wants to go for the win, if he wants to gamble, potentially win, maybe lose a couple spots, that inside line's where you're going to go.
I tell you, when you pick that outside, though, you have to trust the guy on the inside's not going to wreck you in turn 1. If the guy on the inside, we saw it in the truck race last night, if the guy on the inside gets a great restart and you've exposed the bottom of your car to the guy, hey, man, it's Bristol. Anything can happen.
8 tires are better than 4. Is that what you use them up on the outside if you have to?
We've seen it multiple times.
Well, we got all the terms. We got bump and run. I mean, it's all been created here. We see the 9 come to pit road. So Dale, the one thing is we talk about situational awareness, the 7. When I look at the points for the regular season, there's really no reason not to gamble. And he's 3rd and basically locked into 3rd. He can't really move forward or backwards or, So I think it's kind of win or nothing. The question for me would be more, how aggressive are you willing to be and carry that into the playoffs? Yeah. Do you want to, move the 22 up going into the playoffs and think that could be looming? We've seen payback. I mean, the most famous probably Logano, Matt Kenseth years ago, but that eliminated really a couple drivers from the playoffs. Sure. What is Allgaier willing to do, and what's acceptable?
We saw Noah Gragson on pit road, putting on 4 tires. He's going to restart 13th, 14th in that range. With the outside coming in, can he make it 3 wide on new tires and make something happen? I know he's going to try. I know he's going to be mashing the gas.
But just 2 laps, Jeff. I mean, can he do anything with 2 laps?
Well, assuming we only have 1 shot at that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's the point. I mean, can he win in 2 laps from there? Not unless there's an issue, but it's Bristol.
The other part, too, is he can, and we see the leaders choosing there, the 22 with the outside line. Justin goes to the outside as well. That opens up the inside for Allmendinger and all those guys to do that.
Look at
But Noah,
he went to he could have gone. Look at how far up he could have gone. He could have pulled all the way to the 11 car on new tires.
I wonder why he didn't do that.
They're gonna go single file again and re-choose.
Well, there you go. Maybe the
order
nine
wasn't
will take
set.
another swing at it. Drive up as far. I mean, I agree with you,
We were
Jeff.
getting excited.
Well, if you got to put tires on, get all you can get.
Well, the mentality for the outside is where it had to be, right? But when everybody went to the
choose
top,
right
it's
here.
like, come
Choose
on.
right here.
But let's try it again.
So,
don't hit the ball.
Very important here. What line? Who do you line up behind?
22 to the top, the 7 to the top. No, yeah, 7 to the top. So AJ's like, all right, I'll do it. I'll be the one.
Remember, those two lining up on the front row, they're running for the regular season championship. A trophy gets handed out at the end of this race.
Wow, yeah.
Don't forget Hemric.
That's
never won a race.
Hemric in there, that's right. Side by side, Allmendinger, Cindric for the race win for the regular season championship. Hemric never won in NASCAR, looking for his first win. Allgaier, he's seen a little aggression already in this race. What will he do on the restart here? Riley Herbst, Brandon Jones behind them in row 3. We are in overtime, presented by Credit One Bank.
A great restart on the outside. The 7 of Allgaier right on the bumper of the 22, but the 16 battles back.
Here comes Allmendinger. It's Cindric and Allmendinger into 3 and 4. Allmendinger up the racetrack. They make contact. 3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go. Here comes Allgaier on the inside. They go up the racetrack. Allmendinger back in on the inside. He takes the lead. More contact behind him. The race for the win through 3 and 4. Allmendinger, Cindric, side by side. Allmendinger wins it at the line.
Hard crashing off into turn 1. I cannot believe what I just saw.
This never happens. I'm speechless. That's unbelievable.
That was wild.
Unbelievable.
Allmendinger just won the race and the regular season championship, and he was sideways when he went across the finish line.
Have to hope that he realizes what he just accomplished. Usually when you get out of a car that tore up, you're mad. Who wrecked me? What a finish.
And to the top of the car he goes.
What a finish. And on top of that, how about probably the 3 favorites for this championship probably will go into these playoffs not happy at all with each other.
That was a prize fight. Those last few laps.
There was a half mile to go.
Yeah.
And the top 3 were side by side at the line.
Now, who's going to swing back next week is the question. And all 3 are not going to be happy with each other. I don't know if I've ever. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, hold on. I was getting ready to say. The winner of the race now has to go to the infield care center.
Now, the one good thing about Bristol is, you know where Victory Lane is? On top of the infield care center. He's just going up 1 floor after his trip.
How about that? Let's take another look.
So great restart right there by Cindric. Allgaier did a good job as well. Allmendinger on the bottom making it work.
It's still pretty clean right here.
AJ dives down into 3, gasses it up right into the door of the 22. This opens up a chance for Justin down on the bottom. Justin commits to the entry up the track, gets loose. I think, man, the 16's got it 1. Misses the corner. Off of 4, the 22 just gasses it into the left rear. Look at this. Cars come piling in. Big hits, especially for AJ.
Yeah, Austin Cindric, I'm sure, feels like he just got driven directly into right there by Allmendinger. So on the last lap off turn 4, he's like, all right, I'm going to give you some more of that back. right here, Riley Herbst's got to be saying, I'm going to win this race.
Smoke off the 7.
That was the vantage point of third. Riley Herbst, that's what he saw. I'm guessing this picture right here might go up on Allmendinger's wall as he wins at Bristol sideways at the finish line.
You know, as long as I've watched racing, it's amazing what can happen.
Yeah.
You just never know what's going to happen.
That's what I grew up watching at Concord. Little half-mile short track at Myrtle Beach. That was good short track night racing right there.
Allgaier right here is like, look, I got into you, man. It's all right. I got more people to be mad at.
Got more people to go talk to.
But I'll give Allgaier credit, though, with everything that just happened. He went down to the 8 and saw his young teammate and said, hey, I'm going to show you how this is supposed to be. When you're on the giving end of a mistake, you go find the guy and you apologize and you own it, or have whatever discussion they just had. And, you know, it's more than just teaching them how to drive. You can be a great teammate, show those young drivers.
While we're waiting for AJ to get out of the infield care center, we're going to go to Marty with Cindric.
I'm guessing Austin Cindric wants to see a replay on this one. Austin, your take on the battle for the win, which also turned out to be the battle for the regular season championship.
That wasn't a question. I thought we had a really great battle all season long up to this point, so congratulations to Colleague and AJ. Those guys didn't want us to win really bad, and I hate that it completely destroyed our Menards Richmond Ford Mustang. That's all I got, man.
Here's a replay, Austin.
Well, I mean, I know what happened. I got drove into the door. I feel like maybe I shouldn't have given up the bottom, but I was able to roll momentum, and it looks like the 7 just got loose there. So I'll give that to him after taking out his teammate, and then AJ obviously just drove straight through us. So you'll have that green, white, checkered racing, but man, what a hell of a race. I tried, but man, it's a big bummer. Sorry to everybody else that got involved in that wreck as well. That was really unfortunate.
Boy, this is a tough one to take, I'm sure, Austin, after battling all year long. Isn't it crazy it comes down to one lap like that?
That's why there's people in the grandstands. I mean, they want to see that battle. I mean, as much as I hate it, it's about them. So I just got booed and just got cheered. I don't know what's going on, but welcome to Bristol,
baby. It's a line of the night, by the way, Austin.
This track has taught me so much in my career. My first time here, I spun out 3 times in qualifying. Barely made the show, came back, led laps the next time, won a lap down my first Xfinity race here, got the pole, should have won the race last year, ran out of power steering, and then tonight got wrecked by just about everybody, every circumstance. So it happens, it's racing, move on, playoff time.
I agree with him. He got booed, then he got cheered. The fans loved seeing the end of that race, but that's a tough one for Austin Cindric to take, who did everything he needed to do to win the regular season title tonight until the final few laps.
I don't think I've ever seen that before, where a driver went from being booed to cheered in the same interview. But he opened up the secret, man. When you lose the fans, you just mention the fans, and they were like, hey, all right, you know.
The reaction, like when he got booed, he quit talking. He's like, why are they booing me? What is going on? And then he gave him some satisfaction. He's like, hey, now I'm cool.
His worst nightmare. Then he won them back.
Imagine the emotion, though. I mean, you know, you just were in that battle. That's such an intense battle. Cars running in this side of you. You run inside of cars. You get out, get to do an interview. Fans are booing. You're like, what's going on, man? I mean, it's their life. Everything they do in their life is about those moments, right? This is what you live for as a race car driver, to be in that position to go win that race.
You see in the end on the left side of AJ Allmendinger by 10 points over Cindric, Allgaier, Hemric, Harrison, Haley, Gragson, Jeff Burton, Brandon Jones, and Herbst. And what this really means is this is what we are looking forward to right here. Cindric and Allmendinger, why not? Tied with 44 playoff points. Everyone reset to 2,000. You add the playoff points Justin Allgaier, you see 2020, Gragson all the way down to Jeremy Clements with an even 2000.
Cindric will get the nod as far as the #1 seed because he has more wins. He has 5 wins compared to AJ Allmendinger's 4 wins. What an unbelievable regular season this has been. Austin Cindric, 5 wins. AJ Allmendinger, 4 wins. At the end of the regular season, he wins to win the regular season championship.
Junior, you said Daytona is the perfect place to end the Cup season, regular season. Well, Bristol has definitely not disappointed at the end of the Xfinity regular season. What a great battle in the night race.
Yeah, I can't believe those guys put so much on the line, and that's what you want to see out of all the athletes out there, all the drivers out there, really willing to commit and do anything and everything to win here. Dave has the winner.
Well, and he has exited the infield care center. I don't know if I've ever seen anything so bizarre, but you now have the house, my friend. How about those fans sticking around to see what you did here tonight? Regular season champion and race winner, AJ Allmendinger.
I mean, that was crazy at the end. You know, we had about a 4th place car. My team did a great job. We just kept trying to work on it in there. You know, you got a chance on the bottom and got in there, and I slid into Austin trying to throttle up and stay on the bottom. And, you know, then into 1, Allgaier had to run, and there was contact there, so went down the last corner. I expected to get run into. You know, it happened in the previous corner. It's frustrating to get hit that hard coming to the checkered, but we're battling for the win. It's Bristol, baby. This is what it's all about. You know, I haven't had a lot of chances to ever in my life win at Bristol, so you know what? You get a chance to go do it, you got to do it. And if I don't take that chance, I don't belong in the race car because you know, my team deserves to win. So proud to have Barger Precast on the car for their 2nd race, home race for them. So it's cool to get another new sponsor into victory lane, and you know, not the way you want to finish a race like that, destroying a lot of race cars, but I love you guys. It's Bristol, baby. This is a dream come true for this year. Thank you so much. Whether you love me or hate me for that, you know what? Just keep being you guys, because this is what makes the sport badass. Thank you.
AJ, look at this replay. Walk us through it. And I remember you saying earlier in the race you didn't think you had a car. You didn't say this, but you didn't act like you had a car that could win. Off of 2 here. And then what do you see here? Opening.
At that point, I tried to throttle up and hope it stuck, and we had contact, and then Justin got in there going for the win, and right here, I knew I had enough room, but I expected to have Austin get a run, but he did a great job. He checked up to try to turn the bottom, and right here, this is just gonna happen. So it's, this is a big hit right here. This hurt. You know, well, of course, it was our own car. Like, took out 2 cars there, my bad. You know, it's, all I can say, it's Bristol. Like, that's all it's about. Like, I wanted to win at Bristol. We're gonna have contact. You know, it's Austin Cindric's a hell of a race car driver. Team Penske, it's fun battling them. You don't want to come down like that for the regular season, but it's the way it's gonna be, and I expect it to happen hopefully in Phoenix as well.
But I think you sent a message to your team and everybody else about how hard you're willing to go for it.
You know, I'm almost 40 years old, Dave. I mean, I was semi-retired. I didn't know what the hell I was going to be doing, and full-time, Matt Colley, Chris Rice, all the men and women at Colley Racing. I didn't expect this, so why not go for everything you got? You never know how long you got left, so I'm going to run every lap like it's my last one, because it might be, and that's what it's all about. That's the way it should be.
What do you think, race fans? AJ Allmendinger gave it to you tonight.
Well, I know the fans here loved it. I hope the fans at home watching loved that as well. What a finish. I mean, we've been in the sport a long time. You've been in the sport a long time, the drivers. And all of us are all scratching our head going, have we ever seen the winner of the race go to the infield care center before he's been interviewed?
Well, I give AJ credit, right, because he knows everything that went down. He understands what's on the line for the next group of races. So he doesn't want to come out and gloat. He wants to be excited about the win. He wants to thank everyone at Team Colleague, all the men and women there that put these cars together. But, you know, he did a nice job. Kind of, you know, tip of the hat to Cindric. Now, I beat you, but, hey, man, it's okay. We're racing. You know, he walked a very fine line there. I actually think, though, he kind of circled circled around to what really is the resounding thing, and that's where he's at in his career. This is a guy that was victorious at open wheel, made the transition over to NASCAR, found victory lane at the highest level in the Cup Series. His career moved to Saturdays in the Xfinity Series, and now he's found this new home of being the veteran at Kaulig, and I think I've never seen him have more fun. So it's a blast to watch. And Mr. Road Course is now Mr. Oval as well, winning at
Pretty
Oval,
impressive.
winning at the short tracks.
Yeah, and we bring the drivers in. And guys, okay, so now you mentioned about memories. How difficult will AJ have it going forward in the playoffs after what we just saw here at Bristol?
I don't think too difficult. I mean, all those guys were doing a lot everybody did about the same thing to each other at some point in those last 3 laps, so they're all kind of guilty. But the Xfinity Series is spicy going into the playoffs. That's what I like. I mean, these guys are really willing to put it all on the line, do everything they can to try to win this championship. You got veterans in the mix. You got young guys in the mix. You got some guys that are moving on into the Cup Series to continue their careers already committed to the Cup Series. So a little bit of everybody with a lot of different agendas. But it all ran and crossed paths tonight on those last 3 laps. We saw more sparks than I've seen. And, you know, we're at a short track. This is what happens at short tracks. This is short track racing, and that's why we love it.
Well, listen, there's a reason NASCAR put this race where they put it in the schedule. The last race of the regular season, and then tomorrow night, the last race of this round of the playoffs, is because of moments like this. Drivers having to do things that they normally wouldn't do because there's so much on the line. That's what these playoffs do. You're right. We saw veteran drivers. We saw young drivers. And going into these playoffs, it's not just these 3. It is a lot of guys that are leaving here with hurt feelings, with people running into them tonight, with people, they're mad at each other, and the playoffs start next week. And we're going to be the winners for all that because they are all hungry. They all want to win for all different reasons. And these playoffs are just going to be fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. And there's more interviews available. Allgaier, Mayer, they will be available on NBCSports.com. Remember, the playoffs start next week in Las Vegas for the Xfinity Series. And remember, it's a cut race tomorrow for the Cup Series. So the end of round 1 will take place tomorrow for the Cup Series. You maybe should tune in for that if you have any shadow of an idea of what might happen tomorrow, because this was crazy here for the Xfinity Series, finishing it up. Allmendinger wins the race and the regular season championship. Monster Jam, Glendale, Arizona. That's coming up next.